and welcome to your reading. So today we're taking a look at intimacy with your future partner. So we have the 10 of Cups, we have Judgment, we have the 6 of Wands, we have Virgo, we have fun, connection, and freedom. How perfect is it to start off your reading with the 10 of Cups? So this is the card of like ultimate emotional fulfillment. So especially if we pair this next to Judgment, there is so much emotional intimacy between you two. And I'm really drawn to the way we have these blooming roses. And then we have this repeating imagery of the fire. And then we also have the rose quartz and the snakes. So a few things with this, especially because we also got the connection card here. I think emotionally, you connect with your future partner before anything else. And it's that emotional intimacy that really makes you comfortable having then like the physical intimacy, the passion. And it makes the passion between you two in terms of the physical intimacy, I think, stronger and I think more meaningful because you have that emotional connection. It's the fact that you feel safe and secure enough to open up to them. It's the fact that they're receptive, attentive, they care, they understand you. And so I think it's going to be something that slowly happens over time, this revealing of self, because I think of, a rose slowly blooming. I think of a snake shedding its skin, like just this repeating sort of theme of like layers. Like let's slowly peel back the layers and drop the mask and show this sort of raw, vulnerable side to me. This, the truth of who I am. The core of me. Let's get to that. But let's get there in a slow, comfortable way. And then I think, as you emotionally open up to them, then the physical intimacy has more meaning because you just feel safe and secure. And so you don't have, any sort of like hang-ups about it. And you don't feel, maybe some of that awkwardness that can come with the first few initial physical encounters, especially when you have a new romantic partner. And so, I think the emotional intimacy is what you're going to enjoy the most coming into this connection. And then that emotional intimacy makes the physical intimacy more passionate, more rewarding, more meaningful, all that good stuff. And with Virgo energy here, now, you or your future partner could have some Virgo placements, but really this card here is telling us that both of you are going to pay attention to the details of each other because Virgo is very detail-oriented. So sorry, I don't know why I had that alarm set, but anyway, weird. So I think where I left off was saying that Virgo energy is very detail-oriented, very much a perfectionist, very hardworking. And I think both of you sort of apply that mentality to your intimacy with each other. Like, I do think there's an element here of like, okay, I want you to see my true self, your understanding of me, so I feel more comfortable, to show a more vulnerable side to me, past this like veneer or need to be perfect or to be the best. But at the same time, I'm trying to be the best partner that I can be for you. And I'm trying to sort of discern whether you're going to be that for me too. And so I think that on one hand, yes, there's this romantic energy, but I think on the other hand too, y'all are both being practical about this and very grounded and saying like, are we compatible? Is this going to be something that is sustainable for the long term? Is this something we want to make long term? And so I think both of you have, yes, this like strong romantic pull to each other, But at the same time, I think both of you are very grounded and very discerning and using good judgment and trying to figure out, are you really compatible, versus looking at each other with rose-colored glasses or trying to cling to the honeymoon stage. I think both of you are realists in this way of like trying to see, are we really compatible? And I think with the connection card being here, you are. And with the Six of Wands being here, you are. And I think with Judgment, I think this is a very divinely guided union. But I still like to see that emotional maturity here, from both of you. And I also think with Virgo, again, that energy of like trying to be perfect, trying to, have it all together, trying to have all your ducks in a row. Virgo's a little bit type A, but I think both of you can kind of step out of a need to try to be perfect or to have everything together and just be able to show each other this raw, vulnerable side. But at the same time, with fun and freedom here, I think that we have that emotional depth, but then also with the intimacy, you two kind of help each other let your hair down a bit, like you help each other be silly and goofy and kind of reconnect with your inner child and not feel so restricted or constrained. Like I can feel free, I can have fun, I can let go of my worries, my anxieties, because Virgo can be anxious energy too. Virgo also has ties to Mercury, just like Gemini does. And so that's a very fast moving planet. And so Virgo can be quite anxious. Especially too, if you have like a Mars in Virgo placement or a Venus in Virgo, that can bring some anxiety to your romantic partnerships and your physical intimacy, emotional intimacy. So I like to see this balance here with fun and freedom. Like, let's go on adventures together. I think you two are very big on quality time as well. And so, I think that making memories together, having new experiences together, and just having fun and getting out of your comfort zone. And I think those are intimate bonding experiences for you two. And I could honestly see you two taking a lot of vacations together, a lot of trips together. I think for a lot of you, you may end up having one special place that you like to visit again and again and again together. And so, it could be somewhere far away. It could be like a weekend getaway place that it's easy for you guys to revisit. But there's just this kind of energy here of like one special place that holds a lot of fond memories for us and that really represents who we are as a couple. And that's where you're going to share, I think, some of your most intimate moments together, your most meaningful memories. It's a place that's going to be representative of your love, a place where you feel nostalgic about it. That Taylor Swift song, Cornelia Street, where she's like, if I ever lose you, I don't think I would ever walk Cornelia Street again, or something like that. And that's how much this place would mean to you guys. Like, if God forbid you ever broke up or, something pulled you two apart, it's like, I couldn't go back to that place without you. And I definitely couldn't take a future romantic partner there, like it's just, that place is so tied to you and our connection and what it means to us. I couldn't imagine going anywhere else. I couldn't imagine going there, with anyone else. I just couldn't imagine it. And what I love too is that you guys don't have a sort of clingy attitude towards each other. Even if you have fears of them leaving or, fears of abandonment or trust issues, I feel like this person is such a comfort to you. You feel so safe and secure with them that you don't feel the need to cling too tightly to the connection. I think you feel safe, you know, if they have to travel for work, or if they're in the military and they go out on deployment, or I don't know, but whatever the case may be, anything that comes up that kind of forces you to have some time apart, I don't think that you would be worried about it. Or if this person has an opposite work schedule to you, or sometimes they have to work late nights, I don't feel like you would worry. You know, I feel like there's a lot of trust here. And if they say there's somewhere, you believe that's where they're at, and they're not secretly out here being unfaithful to you or anything like that, you know, you can trust them at their word. So I don't see a lot of codependency here. You two also may really bond over music. That's kind of just a side message, but that may be how you two sort of communicate your feelings sometimes, just by sending each other a song or saying, hey, go listen to this song, or this song reminds me of you. Also, I mean, if we take this card at face value, this connection card, maybe you two really like to dance, you know, maybe slow dancing in the kitchen and the refrigerator light. So many Taylor Swift references. Maybe that's your thing. So yeah, maybe you like to slow dance on the beach. And I could see you two writing heartfelt letters together. To each other. Sweet little love notes. Sending each other, you know, just sweet little texts, things like that. Especially Virgo energy and communication and Mercury. I could see that being a thing. Or maybe you always save the greeting cards, you know, the little messages they write in them to you for like your birthday or Valentine's Day, anniversaries. With the Six of Wands here, I also think part of your intimacy with this person is that you share your goals and aspirations and dreams with them. And you may be someone who typically keeps things close to your vest, you know, like you don't typically share what you're working on or what you want to do because you're, you know, not wanting anyone to taint it or put a negative spin on it. You know, you don't want anyone to inadvertently like discourage you from it. Because sometimes when you're really excited about something and you share it with someone, you know, sometimes they can kind of take the wind out of your sails, you know. Not even like in a mean way. Sometimes it's not, you know, to be malicious or anything, but they may say, well, have you considered this? Or like, what's your backup plan? Or are you sure you can do that? Blah, blah, blah. And it can kind of make you feel down, right? And so I think maybe you have a tendency to just quietly work on things and maybe not share what you're working on or share what your dreams are. But I feel like because you feel so safe and secure with this future partner, you do tell them like, hey, you know, I've always wanted to be a musician, or, you know, I'm starting piano lessons, or, you know, I'm taking up pottery, or, you know, I've been working on a novel. I started a YouTube channel, you know, like whatever the case may be. It could just be a hobby you've always wanted to do, and maybe you're a little embarrassed about it, or you don't think you're going to be any good at it, and you don't want pressure on it. And so, yeah, I feel like that's part of the intimacy here, is that you feel safe enough to share those things, and they're going to be supportive of you and encouraging and non-judgmental. Virgo energy can also be a bit more body conscious. Like if you think about Beyonce, she's a Virgo. And you can tell, especially if you watched, I can't remember which documentary it was. It was a documentary on her. I forget the name of it. But you can tell, you know, like the way that she viewed her body, you know, like post-pregnancy, and how hard she was on herself about, you know, getting ready for the stage. Like, that's all Virgo energy. And, you know, part of that is what makes her such a great performer, is that need for perfection, or that need to be the best, you know, and that competitive kind of spirit in that way. You know, she's very detail oriented, and that's what makes her a great performer. But at the same time, you know, she's hard on herself. I think, you know, you can see how hard she is on herself, and how much she expects of herself, and how she pushes herself. You know, she's a powerhouse. And so I think, you know, with Virgo energy being here, there could be some potentially like body image issues, or again, like just this kind of self-criticism, you know, that can come up. You know, this ambition, you know, this need to be the best. And so, especially next to the Six of Wands here. And so I feel like you two, because I do feel like this may be a mutual energy, maybe it's just one of you, but I feel like you two really help each other heal, and you help each other sort of quiet that inner critic, you know? And so any sort of insecurities around certain body features, you know, will be healed. Any sort of, you know, issues with that inner critic, you know, any anxiety related to that inner self-criticism. I think this relationship will help you, and if they're feeling this too, help you both learn to cope, because you both are so supportive and encouraging and very loving and affectionate with each other. And so I think you almost teach each other to be nicer to yourselves, to be easier to yourselves, to be more loving to yourselves. You know, it's like through loving each other, we come to love ourselves more deeply. That's a beautiful sentiment. Through loving each other, we come to love ourselves more deeply. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Sorry, I feel like I've been so winded during this reading. Part of it is where I'm at in my pregnancy, but also I'm a little bit hoarse. I took Tallulah to the vet this morning, and she did a fantastic job. She was such a good cat. But I was like talking to her all the way in the car, like trying to calm her down. We were chatting. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm a bit short of breath, so I'm sorry for that. Okay, we are going to wrap up your reading here with some cards from your future partner. If they could say something to you directly now, what would they say? We have explore, add adventure to your life. We have you are in charge of your life, lead. And we have you find wisdom in every adversity, awakening. Okay, this you find wisdom in every adversity. Your future partner here, I think, wants you to see as best as you can from a higher perspective. You know, try to almost look at your own life experiences from a distance, because we have lived them personally, right? It's almost like we're too close to the problem. And sometimes we need a more objective, third party, you know, no stake in the situation person to come in and sort of show us that higher perspective, you know, because again, like we're too close to it. So as best as you can, try to look at your life experiences from a distance and say, okay, if that happened to someone else, what would I say to them? How would I comfort them? How would I help them understand the situation? What lesson do I think, you know, was the point of all that? What was the purpose maybe? How has that situation made that person stronger? Or, you know, understand themselves better? What have they learned? Sometimes just taking out what makes it so personal to you, and kind of removing that personal bias can help you see a situation so much more clearly, because again, it's like we're too close to it. And sometimes, it helps to talk it out with someone else, or talk it out with people who don't know the situation. And so for some of you, maybe that could look like therapy, or talking to, I wouldn't say talk to a close friend, because then they would be close to it too, because they know you so well. But yeah, maybe potentially a therapist for some of you, or maybe just journaling about it. Writing it down as if it happened to someone else could give you clarity, because I know therapy can be expensive and not for everybody. So maybe that's a possibility. And I think with this, you are in charge of your own life. They want you to feel more empowered. They want you to see that you do have more choices than you realize. You do have more power in the situation than you realize. And I think that's them trying to help you maybe with that inner critic that tells you you don't have any power in the situation, or you're not good enough to change the situation, or you don't deserve any better, that sort of thing. With that adventure to your life, especially with it coming over the fun card, I think they just want you to have more fun, mix it up, don't get stuck in a rut, all that good stuff. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Hey group 2, welcome to your reading. So with the Six of Cups, the Lovers, the High Priestess, Libra, the Sacred Woman, and True Love, I would say intimacy with your future partner is looking really amazing. One thing before we get started, I just want to point out with your tarot cards being here, and then especially with getting True Love, Libra rules Venus, planet of love and romance, amongst other things, but those are all very significant. Libra ruling the 7th house of partnerships. So I will say this future partner, if you're looking for something long-term, if you're hoping your future partner is your future spouse, So, being the next person you seriously date, or if you're hoping the next person you seriously date is going to become your life partner, even if you're not interested in marriage necessarily, I feel like that's very strongly indicated here, because with the Lovers and the Six of Cups, it really feels like soulmate energy. And I will say this also influences the intimacy, because it's going to be one of those connections where you have that immediate sort of bond, and it's almost like this deja vu feeling of like, have we met before? Because it feels so easy. It feels so natural. It feels very organic. It doesn't feel forced. You know how when you go on your first couple of dates, or you have your first few interactions, texting, messaging, however it ends up playing out, sometimes it can feel forced, or like you're having to really work hard to like carry the conversation forward, or there's a lot of awkward silences, or you're trying to put your best foot forward, and maybe in doing so you don't feel like your most natural, authentic self. When you meet someone new, even if it's not a romantic connection, you don't feel as at ease as you would with like a best friend, or a family member, someone who's known you for a long time, right? And I think a lot of times, even when we don't mean to, we may have like a mask up, or we may be only showing one side of ourselves. And I feel like with this person, there's a lot less of that, because there's this natural easiness to it. Now, depending upon your personality, you may try to maybe push that down a bit, like you may tell yourself like, slow down, don't fall too fast, don't get your hopes up, don't get your expectations too high, because the High Priestess, she's very intuitive, right? And so I think intuitively you're picking up on all of this soulmate recognition, all of this energy. But I do think that there's still a practical side to you here, group 2, that I'm picking up on, that would maybe hesitate. Like I'm feeling all of these feelings, but I may not necessarily act upon them or throw myself into this with my whole heart open and vulnerable. I feel like there's an aspect here where you're feeling all of these feelings, but you're holding back, because you're coming through as sort of the moon energy here. If you look at the Lovers, you see the moon cup and the sun cup coming together. I feel like your future partner is this sun cup. So I think in terms of intimacy, even though you're feeling this immediate connection and this person is so easy to talk to, and you would feel safe to be emotionally vulnerable, I feel like you're not necessarily in the early stages of dating putting it all out there. Even though you feel very safe and very comfortable to do so, I think it's less about your future partner and more to do with you and your past history, your past experiences. And you're still taking things at a pace that's comfortable to you. Now, be mindful. Everyone's idea of what fast is looks different. For some people, for example, they may think saying I love you after a few months is fast, whereas other people may think it's slow. So, it just depends upon your comfort zone. And I do think that in terms of the intimacy here, especially in the early stages of dating, your future partner is a lot more open with you. With the sun energy being here, I think that they would be the one to express that they have feelings for you first. They would be the one to express like, hey, I want to see you again for another date. I really had a great time. They have more of a heart on your sleeve, open-hearted kind of energy. And they're very confident, or at least they come across as being very confident. And I think that they would be the one. They're not a super emotional person. I think they like to keep things light and fun. However, with you, I think there's a willingness there to open up and to share their story. I think more quickly than you would. Let's put it that way. And so I think that they're going to be the one taking the lead in terms of intimacy. They're going to be the one pushing the connection forward. Whereas I feel like you are sort of following their lead, but then I feel like there are moments where you communicate to them, hey, I want to slow this aspect down, or this is where my comfort zone is with this. And that may be in terms of emotional intimacy. Like you may say, hey, this thing happened to me in the past. I'm not ready to open up about it. When I know you better and we have that trust, I'm happy to share. But for right now, it's something that's really personal to me. But I just wanted you to be aware that this is something that I've gone through in my past. And that could be so many different things, right? But just for example, or you could say to them, I'm not comfortable with this level of physical intimacy yet. I prefer to, just move at a slower pace with it. And I think they would be respectful of that. I think that they're very patient with you. And so, well, yes, they are moving things forward. They're taking the lead, but they are also getting your feedback, and seeing where your comfort zone is. I think that this person, is a gentleman or a lady, whatever you want to say, but they're very polite, very respectful. And I also feel like, quite honestly, they may not be quite as intuitive as you are. I think you are one of those people that in general is very intuitive across the board. You're good at reading energy, whereas with them, they aren't typically very intuitive. I think that they're more of a live in the moment, action oriented kind of person. However, and they tend to mind their own business, and they may have, there may be a little bit of fire sign energy with them, quite honestly, with the sun. So Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius, but they're more self-focused, and not in a selfish way, but just of like, I'm focused on my goals, minding my own business, doing what I got to get done. So they don't tend to notice or pick up on the energy of others. However, you are so important to this person, and you guys have this red string of fate, soulmate kind of energy going on. So they pick up on your energy and they notice your energy. And so even when you don't necessarily say it verbally, but your body language says it, or your facial expression says it, or just the air in the room has shifted kind of energy, they pick up on that. And so they're really great at responding to your nonverbal cues. So you don't necessarily always have to say it, but I think that you're going to feel comfortable verbally expressing where your boundaries are, where your comfort zone is, with different aspects of intimacy. And I will say with the Six of Cups, especially with having Libra energy below it, so 6 is a balanced number, right? 3 and 3. And then like I said, below that we have Libra with the scale. So again, this theme of balance. And even when we look at the Lovers, it almost looks like the Two of Cups, right? Like the moon and the sun coming together, pouring into the star. So I think that one of the things that you two are really going to bond over and really appreciate about each other is sort of your individual interests and your individual goals and ambitions. And so even if you don't necessarily collaborate on things, like you don't necessarily like open up a business together or something like that, or you don't have children in the future or start a family, not saying you won't, but even if you don't do those things, I feel like there's so much mutual support here. Like, I'm really supporting who you are as an individual. I'm really hyping you up. I'm giving you comfort. I'm giving you encouragement with whatever it is that you have going on. Whether it's a new hobby you want to try, a new sort of lifestyle goal you want to achieve, any sort of goal, dream, aspiration you have, little or big, they're going to be supportive of you and you're going to be supportive of them. And I also feel like, quite honestly, this is the kind of relationship where if you have an issue with someone, I feel like the first person you want to talk to is your future partner, and they feel the same way about you. There's a huge theme here of reciprocity, and, both of you sort of mutually pulling your weight in the connection, and that may be in different ways. But I will say one thing where you two are very similar is that, like I said, I'm circling back because sometimes I get off track. If any of you, either one of you, has an issue with someone, you want to vent to your partner, because they're going to give you that active listening, and you're going to do the same for them. So you get that active listening, you get their honest feedback, and you get someone to sort of just hold space for you. Like, I'm going to let you get it all out. And if you want my advice, I'll give it. If you don't, if you just want my emotional support, my presence, that's cool too. If you want me to make you laugh about the situation so you can move on better, I can do that too. But it's just about whenever you're upset, this is the person I want to confide in the most. And they feel the same way about you. I will say, with the High Priestess and the Sacred Woman here, you're probably a very spiritual person, not just because you're watching a tarot reading, but anything related to spirituality or related to the occult, any interests that you have, I feel like you're going to, and this may be the first time you've ever felt comfortable kind of opening up to a romantic partner about this side to you, or it may just be something you tend to practice in private, or you don't talk about it a whole lot. But I am getting a message strongly here that one of the things you're really going to appreciate about your future partner, and for many of you is totally new, is that you can be open about your spiritual beliefs, and you can share that part of yourself and be really vulnerable about it and express, like what your spiritual practices are, or, your sort of journey with spirituality, or even just the fact that you watch tarot readings, if this is something you do regularly, or you pull cards for yourself, or you're interested in other occult topics like astrology, numerology, that sort of thing, or crystals. Your future partner isn't going to judge you for it. It's something that they'll be interested in. They may be spiritual themselves, but I really feel like it's like almost such a relief or a burden off of your shoulders to not have to hide that aspect of yourself or downplay it or make it, I'm hearing, more palatable for someone else. And I've had to do that myself, like I don't tend to talk very openly about tarot. I do talk more about astrology because I feel like in certain circles that's more socially acceptable and people tend to be more curious about it. I don't know what it is about tarot that can cause fear in some people. I think it's just a misunderstanding of what it is. Or just judgment, I guess, in general. But I tend to be a lot more discerning about who I talk to about tarot, especially because honestly, I don't like to give tarot readings for people that I know. And it's funny because I'm getting a little bit off tangent. I'm going to say this and then we're going to circle back. Pardon me because I'm filming this like first thing in the morning, but people will be so judgmental about tarot, but then still want you to do a reading for them. It's like the weirdest thing. Like if you're not open to it, why would I put forth that kind of energy for you? Like, why would I do that? So silly. Like, I don't have anything to prove. If you're not into it, that's cool. It's just bizarre to me. But anyway, so yes, I feel like it's just such a relief for you to be able to express that, to share it, and to know that they honestly like respect it. Like, even if they don't get it, even if it's not their belief, you know, even if you guys don't share the same perspective on it, they still respect it. And that's huge. I think that's really huge, especially if this is a big part of your life or something that's very intimate to you, very close to you, your faith matters to you, or is something you're really passionate about. I think that makes all the difference. It honestly reminds me, and pardon again my reality TV examples, but it reminds me of Vanderpump Rules and James and his girlfriend Allie. So she is super into astrology. And I remember there's like one episode where he says, yeah, you did my birth chart for me, and you said like my Uranus is in retrograde, and she's like, that's not what I said, and that's not how it works. But even though he doesn't really get it, he's still willing to like go to a tarot reading with her, and he's still open-minded about it, and he's still supportive of her starting her astrology business. And listen, he's not like the best boyfriend in the world, but I thought that was nice. You know, I thought that was like super nice. And so I feel like it's that kind of dynamic where even if they don't get it or they don't understand it, or you tell them things and they remember it wrong or get it mixed up, they're still very supportive and very open, and they're not judgmental, and they're encouraging, you know, very encouraging of that side to you. Okay, and true love doesn't really need a whole lot of explanation. But I will say, I feel like in terms of the intimacy, it is, I want to say like well-rounded, you know, like, you know how some relationships you have a lot of emotional intimacy, but maybe the physical chemistry isn't quite right, or you have the opposite and the physical chemistry is there, but maybe the emotional depth isn't there, or maybe the emotional depth is there, but intellectually it doesn't really click, or you feel like you don't have like stimulating conversations with someone, or your sense of humor and their sense of humor isn't really a compatible match. Y'all don't laugh at the same things. I feel like that's really important in a relationship. Even if your sense of humor is, that sounds like a weird phrase to use, but even if they're not quite the same, you know, like you don't like the same sitcoms or TV shows or whatever, I feel like it's important to be able to laugh about the same things with each other. Maybe not everything across the board, but just having moments where you're both laughing at the same thing and you both get it, I feel like is a really like wholesome kind of intimacy. I don't know, humor is really important to me in relationships. And so if there's something like that that's really important to you that I haven't mentioned, like some kind of intimacy that to you matters, I feel like that's going to be represented in this connection. And you're going to have that, like I said, well-rounded kind of relationship where you do have the intellectual compatibility. You do have the physical intimacy. You do have the emotionally vulnerable, supportive conversations. All of that good stuff. And I know I touched on this a little bit, but I will say with the Sacred Woman card being here, I feel like respect is a bedrock of this relationship and is what makes the intimacy better, because there's that respect underlying everything. You know, like if you have a lot of respect for someone, you can joke around with them. If you have a lot of respect for someone, you're going to be emotionally supportive and non-judgmental. You see how it like feeds into other aspects of the intimacy? if someone has respect for you, you're gonna be more comfortable with physical intimacy, right? Because you're gonna feel safer. You're not gonna worry that, for example, they're being unfaithful or they're cheating on you. Now with the Libra here as well, as the Six of Cups, the Lovers, there's a lot of physical attraction here. I think that it's more than that when you first meet them, like you see them in person. Because we have the Lovers and true love and all of that, soulmate energy, I do feel like it runs deeper. So yes, there's physical attraction, but I feel like even when you first meet them, because you're coming through as the High Priestess, it's like there's this intuitive sense that it's more than just an infatuation. That it runs deeper than that. It's less of an attraction and more of like, I am magnetically drawn to you. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's an attraction, but it's very strong. It feels like an inevitability. Sorry, I stumbled on my word there. Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I'm drawn to the pearls here too on the Six of Cups. This connection feels rare, it feels special, it feels monumental. It feels like this is a love I'm always going to remember, or this is a love that I'm always going to cherish, or this is a love that is going to add a lot of value to my life. And I do think over time, something about this relationship really softens you and helps you feel more comfortable being in a divine feminine energy and not feeling like you have to be so protective over yourself. Because I'm thinking about a pearl and being in like the little shell and then it opening up, or like a blooming rose, that sort of thing. Or you see how like her palm is open here and we have the green heart, the heart chakra, like I'm opening up to you. And I do feel like, and this is just a sort of side message here, but I do feel like there's this energy of this person making your life better and you making their life better and having some wishes sort of come true once you're together. And that probably has to do with you guys being soulmates, and maybe you have a joint soul mission together, and so you'll accomplish more together. You're better together, stronger together than you are apart. So you bring out the best in each other, which is really nice, because you don't want to bring out the worst in each other. Then it's just miserable to be around you as a couple, right? And it's miserable to be in it. So yeah, this is really beautiful. Okay, now we're going to wrap up your reading with some messages from your future partner. If they could speak to you directly, what would they say? Okay, we have give, you are kind and generous. Health and happiness flow into your life, renewal. And we have be open to new experiences, flexible. I will say, I think it's really cute and not planned by me at all, but I think it's really cute that we have this star depicted in the Lovers card, and then that card just happens to be underneath this renewal card that also features a star. So I think definitely, yes, this person is going to be a wish fulfillment in your life. This is going to be the kind of love you've always wished for, but I also feel like it's confirming to us that message that you will achieve a lot together and you're going to be a really great team. I feel like your future partner, is sort of wanting to give you your flowers here with this give card. I mean, the cat even has the little flower in its mouth. Like, your future partner wants to give you some validation, wants to help you recognize some positive traits about yourself. And I think that kindness and generosity are things that we don't value enough in society, you know? Like, I feel like there's always a lot of focus on being the prettiest, or being the smartest, or being the richest, but good old-fashioned kindness, you know, I think that that's something that people don't appreciate enough. And kindness and generosity, you know, those are qualities that are a choice. And I think that that's something that really matters. The fact that you choose to be kind, you choose to be generous. And I think that your future partner is saying, like, you deserve happiness. You deserve good health, you know, whatever that looks like and means to you, but you deserve that. And it will flow into your life, you know, like you will get sort of like your good karma here. And with be open to new experiences, this could be hinting from your future partner how you two will meet. So you may meet them doing something that is typically outside of your comfort zone. And so that can mean a lot of different things. This is a general reading, so just reflect on that. You know, how can you get more outside of your comfort zone, or how can you say yes when you would normally say no? Those sorts of things. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Group 3, last but not least, welcome to your reading. We have the Enchantress, which is the Magician. In this deck, we have the Crone of Cups or the King of Cups. We have the Four of Pentacles. We have Cancer. We have commitment, compatibility, and trust. Group 3, I don't want to say that you have trust issues, or that you have walls up, or that you're very guarded. I feel like you may have that interpretation of yourself, or other people may have told you this, or told you that you're difficult to get to know on a deeper level, that sort of thing. But I feel like, honestly, the way that you act and the way that you show up in your love life, in dating, or maybe you're someone who has been single for quite some time and you don't even participate in all of that. I feel like it's for good reason. You know, I feel like it's all understandable. You know, and I think that sometimes that piece is missing when we say someone has trust issues or someone is guarded. It's like, well, instead of putting that label on them, right? It's better to ask, well, why? You know, like why? And then typically when you hear what they've gone through or what their experiences have been, or their lack of experience, you know, like if you've been single your whole life, well, now it makes sense. Now we see the logic behind it, right? It's not that this person is being difficult or, you know, they have trust issues, they don't know how to trust. Well, maybe they did trust, you know, and maybe they got that trust thrown back in their face. And now we see why they're more hesitant to trust. Because I feel like it's not that you don't trust. You know how typically people will say, well, I trust you until you give me a reason not to. For you, it's more like, I don't trust until you give me a reason to trust you. So it takes more time. And so I think that's why we have Cancer here, because Cancer has so much emotional depth. I mean, to me, they are the epitome of a water sign. You know, when I think of which sign is like, this isn't really, I don't, maybe not the most grammatically best way to say this, but like the wateriest water sign, I think of Cancer. I think Cancer has so much emotional depth. However, Cancer is still represented by the crab, so they have this hard outer shell. They don't show that soft underbelly, you know, water energy to just anyone. It takes a while to get through that shell. And so, yes, I feel like you are very protective of yourself, and you're going to be in that energy when this future partner comes in. However, with that being said, I think the way this plays out is not them breaking down your walls or, you know, anything like that. It feels more of like a slow burn romance, like, okay, I see the energy that you're in. With the King of Cups, like I'm emotionally intelligent enough to get it. So your future partner is coming through with water sign energy as well, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. I'm emotionally intelligent enough to get it. And so I'm going to hang back a bit. And I'm going to be patient. And with the Four of Pentacles, we're going to build this intimacy between us coin by coin. We're going to build a solid foundation first. And we're just going to take it easy. We're going to take it slow. I'm hearing Tina Turner's, oh man, what's that song called? Rolling on a River. Where when she's singing it in the beginning of the song, it's like, we're going to take this nice and slow. And the song just kind of builds, it builds, it builds. And so it's sort of like that. You know, it's just a slow building of this connection. So I would not be surprised if this starts off as a solid friendship. They may make their romantic interest in you known, but I think that they're comfortable just being friends first and building that up over time. And I don't think they have any problem, I'm hearing, putting their money where their mouth is. And so they're going to be very open and willing to just show you. Because I feel like you need to see it. You know, I feel like you need to see that they are trustworthy. I think they need to prove that to you. And I feel like you are kind of doing the same with them, just in I think the way that you express your beliefs around love and relationships, and I'm hearing like the reverence that you have for it, because I think that with you coming through in this sort of Cancer energy, and you don't have to be a Cancer, but you could have, some Cancer placements in your birth chart. But I feel like this has a lot to do with how you view love and relationships. And for you, you're not someone who says, I love you, unless you really, really mean it. And some people aren't like that. Some people say those words pretty carelessly, or they say those words to get what they want, but they don't really necessarily mean it. For you, I'm hearing you hold those words with reverence, like they mean something, they matter to you, or you're just not someone who is intimate with just anyone. Because to you, you hold it with reverence, you hold it in high regard. And when I say intimacy, I mean like in all forms. Like you just don't share intimate moments with just anyone. Like to you, intimacy carries weight, and intimacy is meant for close people to you, so friends, family members, romantic partners, people who matter. I feel like you don't really do anything casual or anything half-hearted. Like if you have a friend in your life, that's not like a superficial casual thing. They're like a best friend. They're a close friend. You don't have a really large social circle. You keep things tight-knit. Or with your family, if you have a good relationship with them, like for you, it's like, well, we're blood. That carries weight, that matters, that means something. And for some of you, your friends may be your family. But that word means something to you, family. It carries weight. And so it's the same thing in your love life. It carries weight. It has a meaning. And you're not interested in anything that's superficial, casual, anything that lacks meaning. And so for you, you need depth. You need authenticity. You need realness. And that's what this partnership gives you. It's something real. It's not a casual, short-lived fling. It's not a flash-in-the-pan romance. It's not, oh, I am infatuated with you and I'm going to fall in love quickly with you and fall out of love just as fast. It's not like that. And I feel like there's this energy here where you're just not willing to settle. And so I feel like there is enough openness between you two for you to be able to express, this is the level of commitment that I want, that I need. And with compatibility here, I feel like this is picking up again on that energy of friendship. It's like that compatibility is there. Even if you take away the physical attraction, we're still emotionally, intellectually compatible. And I think that you're going to share intimate moments with this person. I think initially in the stages of getting to know each other or your first few interactions together, you're going to share intimate moments that are focused on things that you're interested in, like mutual interests, mutual hobbies, mutual things that you're passionate about, mutual beliefs. There's a lot of overlapping there. I think you two very easily get each other. And I think that's a really special kind of intimacy that people don't talk about a lot. But when you're really passionate about something or you love something so much, and then someone else loves it just as much as you do, that's so special when that happens. So my husband and I have been watching this show called Love on the Spectrum. And the cutest couple to me are It's Abby and, oh, I forget his name. I feel bad I don't remember. But Abby loves the Lion King. She loves lions. She's so passionate about animals, but especially lions. And her boyfriend on the show, when they go on their first date, I think they're at a zoo, if I'm remembering correctly, but that's something they initially bond over, is this love for animals and this love for lions, and it's so wholesome and sweet. And so I feel like that's the kind of intimacy that maybe doesn't necessarily get as much appreciation, but I think is super important when you're getting to know someone, is when you find this common interest. And you know how you can get nervous, when you're talking to someone for the first time and you're physically attracted to them. But when you find a common interest, it's like you get out of your head, about any sort of anxiety you're having, and you're able to be fully in the moment and comfortable in the words. The conversation just flows because you're both really interested in what you're talking about. And this can happen in non-romantic, situations too. I remember I had met a friend, this was so many years ago, but she was, I think, the first person I ever met that also really loved Lana Del Rey. And it was like, oh my God, like you listen to her too? And it was just like a floodgate opening. Like I could not stop chatting and like, oh, well, what's your favorite album? What's your favorite song? What's your favorite era? Blah, 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 blah. Because I finally had someone to talk to about it because I freaking love her music. And so, it's one of those things. It may be that you don't know anyone else in your life that is interested in this thing or that loves this thing as much as you do. But when you're talking to them, you discover that y'all have this mutual interest or hobby or passion or belief. And it's like, finally, someone else gets it. Someone else loves this or believes in this the way that I do. And yeah, I think that that's going to be a really beautiful, intimate moment between you two very early on in the connection that kind of forms the basis for this friendship that turns into a romance. And I love all the lotus flowers on this commitment card because I think that's something that really sort of, remember how we said you're gonna build this like solid foundation with this Four of Pentacles with your romantic partnership through building a friendship first? I feel like the glue that kind of holds that foundation together with this commitment card is that they're gonna show up for you when you're in tough spots, when you're going through something, when you need help. They're going to be there for you in whatever capacity you need them to be. But I also feel like you're going to do that for them as well. And that's going to show you over time how much you two mean to each other. And so, I think sometimes it's little things like you need someone to drive you to the airport or whatever. And sometimes it's larger things like you had a death in the family and you need someone, you need a shoulder to cry on kind of thing. But over time, you're going to show up for each other over and over again. And you're like, wow, like this is someone I can count on. This is someone I can rely upon. Also with this Enchantress card, I can't help but think of, oh God, that Taylor Swift song, It Was Enchanting to Meet You. I do want to say, like, even though we've talked about this being like a slow burn romance, a friendship first kind of thing, I definitely want to underscore to you that romantic attraction, that physical attraction is there from the beginning. And you may even feel like, did I manifest this person? There may be that kind of energy here. But I feel like even so, because of what you've been through, or because this is your first serious relationship, it's going to vary. it may be like a half and half situation, like half of you have never been in a serious romantic partnership, half of you may have been, just having like a difficult love life, or, you have attachment issues from childhood, whatever, a fear of abandonment. But regardless of what the situation is, I want to make it clear to you romantically, like, you do have these feelings. It's just about you feeling safe enough to explore those feelings, to express those feelings, and all of that. And I do think there's a level of having to be patient with yourself too. Because even in moments when we want to move forward, fear can hold us back. And I think sometimes that comes up, and sometimes you may have feelings of, am I good enough? Are they really into me? There may be some insecurities that come up. And if that happens, I feel like you can feel safe enough to talk to this person about it. But I also feel like just be patient with yourself. Feel what you need to feel and let it pass. You don't need to ruminate on it. Because there is so much compatibility here, so much potential for such a beautiful romantic partnership. So don't get so in your head that you self-sabotage, or that you have a fear of self-sabotaging so much that you actually self-sabotage. So yeah, I think just be patient with yourself, because this person is going to be patient with you. And even with the key, and tied with the red bow, it's making me think of the red string of fate. But like, we have the key to each other's heart. Like, I know how to unlock your heart. I know what it is, or I can sense what it is that you need from me right now. And so I think that's part of what makes them okay with taking it slow, even if maybe at times they would like things to move faster. I think that they kind of have this understanding that if they want things to last with you, it's best not to rush it, or it's best not to push it, that kind of thing. So I think that they approach you maybe a bit cautiously, in some ways. I think that they're mindful about not scaring you off, or not coming on too strong, or not overwhelming you, that kind of thing. Okay, group 3. These cards here are messages from your future partner. If they could say something to you now, directly, what would they say? Before we get into these cards, I did have a few extra messages come through. So I will say, your future partner, one of their love languages is gift giving. And I think that they really, really enjoy just getting you a little something here, a little something there, for no particular reason at all. Like, oh, I saw this and it made me think of you. I saw this and I thought you would love this. I see you've been having a hard time. I just wanted to give you something to kind of, lift your spirits. And so it may be like a little gift, maybe flowers, could be, a little something like your favorite drink from your favorite coffee shop, or, it could be just any little thing, just to sort of show you that they care, boost your spirits, that kind of thing. That's just a side message that came through. I also wanted to say, your reading, the energy was a little bit more difficult to pull out. It felt like I had to pull it piece by piece. The messages did not flow quite the same way that like group 2 flowed. And I think that has a lot to do with your energy, quite honestly. I think that you are so protective of this connection. I think that this person is going to have a lasting impact on you. This person is important. And even with me just trying to tap into the energy of it, there's still like some resistance there of like, this is special, or like, don't spoil the surprise too much, or there's just this like energy of privacy here. Like, this is private. This is between us, you know? And so I think that I think that's what it comes from, you know, that crab energy of like just being protective over your partner, over your relationship, and being very private about it. Okay, now on to these messages. We have, you can choose a new beginning, evolution. You have the power to improve your life, choice, and a life of stability is yours, balance. I like how this 14 balance card came out over top the 4 of Pentacles. That's really cool. Yes, I definitely feel like there is potential here for a long-term relationship, and your future partner is coming through and saying, that's what I want. You know, I want this relationship to last. I don't want it to be short-lived. I don't want this to be a little fling, you know, that is like passionate and then dies out really quickly. I want to build something solid with you. I want to have a home with you. I want to share my life with you. I want this to go somewhere. And you don't have to worry that I'm not going to put in the effort to make that happen. You know, you're not going to have to do all the work. And with the, you have the power to improve your life, like, it's kind of cute. You know, it's almost like, choose me. Choose me. Choose better for yourself. Don't settle. I promise I won't ever make you feel like you've settled. I can be the partner that you need, that you want. I'm not going to make you feel like you settled. With evolution, you can choose a new beginning, like what has happened before in your love life, whether it's been totally stagnant, you've been single, or whether it's been heartbreak after heartbreak or disappointment. What has happened in your past does not have to perpetuate itself with us. You know, like, I'm not your ex, or I'm not like your, you know, if you have attachment issues with your parents, like, you know, our relationship doesn't have to be like your parents. We can be better. This can be better. So that emotional baggage, you know, you can feel safe to leave it at the door, kind of thing. Or we can work through that together. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading.